The Mariners wrapped up their 2-game webcast series yesterday with a loss to the White Sox 6-5. Before I talk about that game and kind of my secondary thoughts from the second game and just since it's over, I do want to show you guys a clip of us from the recording of the Hit It Ear podcast. It did not make the final cut. It felt a little disjointed, and I kind of wanted to use it as its own separate thing. So here are our initial thoughts after the first game against the Royals.
The webcast that they've been doing, that they did today, and they'll be doing on the day that this podcast is released, really good.
I was pleasantly surprised that there was the third camera angle inside the broadcast booth. Because, you know, all you need is two. You just need one from center field, one from behind the plate, and you're good. Because then you'll see the entire field of action. The audio sync was fine. Like, I know I started it right away, and there was no audio for the first two pitches. And then Rick Riz came on. And it's like, okay, so there's a little bit behind trying to get it all, I think, lined up. It was the first one. Everything else beyond that, those first two pitches went off without a hitch. The cameras, they're not like amazing, but they're good. They're good enough. They will get the job done. I saw some people commenting on the music for the little like ad segments playing in between innings.
Some of them were bops.
No, some of them were like okay for like it sounded like no copyright music, but like, it was just like, oh, this is a graphic of Luis Castillo in our face, and it's just like YouTube music. But it's a good. I think it's like it's a sign of something that can stay and be part of like a regular kind of like broadcast setup, because one, it allows them free promotion of like their social media and like their like stuff that they want to just promote in general. They don't have to use airtime for it necessarily like during the actual broadcast. It's like in between innings, you now no longer have those commercials of like Subaru and blah blah blah, like whatever, you know. There's still probably going to be that if they do go further with this and commodify it.
Subaru, if you guys want to sponsor us, don't listen to Joe.
Don't do it.
All right, give us money.
Anyways, so it just allows them more like shameless plugs, basically. Just like them posting the clip of like Logan Gilbert doing like the Simon Says, like that clip, whatever.
Yeah.
That they put out on social media literally the day before. It's like, okay, now this is being broadcast to anybody who's watching the game who might not be as in tune, like following the team. They see this and like, oh, nice. Let me go check out like their social media, and then maybe they go get attached to one of the players and develop their fandom even more. So I think there's definitely a lot of positives to take from it, but knowing how greedy, money hungry people are, this good thing can easily turn into something that's behind a paywall or something, whatever, quicker than I'd like to admit.
I'm okay with it. Like, let's say they decide to do this in the regular season. I'm okay with it being behind a paywall. If I have to pay, like the Diamondbacks are doing, if I have to pay $100 a year for this, that's fine with me. Like, I would pay $100. Obviously, the production quality need to go up a little bit, but like when you get back home to T-Mobile, you can do that. Like, you're down in spring training, you're just kind of throwing this whole thing together, sure. But you could, you know, you have 6 months of the season to perfect this. If they did it where there's no blackout restrictions and they streamed it on Mariners.com, yeah, I'm there, man. Like, I have zero issue with that. Because I, like, again, this year, I don't have a way to watch the games this year. Unless I stream it illegally, which I would never do. Or I sign up for, like, Fubo for, like, you know, 230 something bucks every couple months, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
I'm sorry, Fubo's like, how expensive?
230 something bucks, but it's every couple months. It's not every month. So I think it comes out to like, I don't remember, like $60 a month maybe.
Yeah,
or something like that.
That's still a bunch if you're only really using Fubo just to watch the game.
I'm only watching it. I'm only buying it for
the game,
watching the Mariners,
which is then why you'd want a Mariners.TV or, you know, something along those lines, like the Diamondbacks are doing, of like, it's just the Mariners game. That's all you have it for. Call it a day. Because if it's $100 for the year, you know, baseball's what, March to October. Like, you're looking at like $12 a month if you're like on the higher side. Now, there are some differences I do want to note between the first broadcast of the webcast and the second one. The first one was only on Mariners.com or MLB.com. It wasn't on like MLB TV, so if you were looking for it there and you couldn't find it, it's because it was just like on the Mariners page on Mariners.com. The second one was also there, but it was also being streamed live on their YouTube channel, which is something that Colt and I talked about probably when the regional sports broadcasting thing was all the rage when Divish was putting out articles about it. and we were talking about that on the podcast, and we mentioned like just stream it on YouTube, stream it on Twitch, like some sort of streaming service. Just put it on there, like that you have a channel on where you have a following, and if you place mid-roll ads in between innings, like you can manually insert them. I don't think they did because they have their own thing kind of playing in between innings, which makes sense. But having it on YouTube, I don't know if that makes sense for the regular season, because at that point, then you're probably going to be losing out on any kind of revenue that you have. So I think what Colton's saying, like on mariners.com or like a dbacks.tv, whatever, would make the most sense. Something that was also different between the first and second one was that it was like presented by Starbucks. It was a Starbucks like presented broadcast, had the logo next to the score bug on the bottom, had Starbucks on like the Mariners webcast, like little graphic. Whereas the first one, there wasn't any like sponsor. So that's another way the Mariners can like integrate their sponsors into it. Like say Boeing did one. I mean, I think Fred Meyer's part of it as well. So it's like there are ways that you can integrate those ad promotions or however you want to do it with the brands that they're working with, and it not be like a commercial break. It's just like, this is there, and that's what it is. For the second game, I do want to talk about some of the exciting things, because it was a pretty solid game. Like, Bryce Miller debuted his new splitter, and it looked great. Got a couple strikeouts through those 2 innings that he pitched. And Andres Munoz also made his Cactus League debut. And a lot of people were saying he was looking like 2022 Andres Munoz. So I don't want to, I don't want to jump the gun or anything, but if he's back to that form, not to say that he was bad in 2023, but 2022 was a completely different beast of a pitcher for Andres Munoz. Some offensive stuff here. Cade Marlowe, after I ragged on him about kind of being disappointing in the first couple outings I saw him, 2 for 2 day, a single and a double, was ripping the ball. When he makes contact, he's doing really well. So he's definitely competing for a 4th outfielder type spot, just to see, like what the competition is like between him, Canzone, and like Trammell, basically. So good for Cade. Cole Young smacked his first Cactus League home run as a solo shot.
And leading things off, Cole Young with a swing and a drive deep to right field. Holy smokes, he leaned into this one, and goodbye baseball with a leadoff home run here in the bottom of the 5th inning. What a shot by Young.
Cole Young is a very, very exciting prospect. Obviously, he's the number 1 in our system. You're keeping an eye on him because he is good. He's the number 37 prospect in all of MLB, according to MLB Pipeline. There's talk that maybe he's going to be an impact later in the year in 2024. He's playing well right now, so he is very, very hyped up. Cole Young, a very exciting player to see there. And the third base question marks, seemingly, I won't say they got answered because that would be me being a little silly, but Luis Urias in his first at bat hit a triple. The left fielder did misplay it, so it probably should have just been a double, but Urias hit a triple. And if he's just DHing because that's all he can do because he can't really play the field, obviously he doesn't really have a spot with Mitch Garver on the roster. So until he is healthy enough to play the field, he's probably going to be on the IL, or they have an option for him to be in AAA and just maybe take at bats and rehab there, if that's the case. And also, Brian Anderson in his Cactus League debut for the Mariners hit a home run in his first at-bat. So also putting the pressure on Urias there to be, the platoon or whatever you want to call it with Josh Rojas. Both Urias and Anderson showed out in the second game of the Webcast. Just overall, a pretty fun game. It's spring training. They lost. Oh, well. Like, there are good things to take from this game aside from them losing.
I think that this is something that the Mariners should do the rest of the year. Do you think that they would do it in the regular season?
No, but they should, but I don't think they will. I think it's one of those things that the game is not being televised. They have contractual obligations more than likely, which would prevent them from doing something like this. It would be a very big like Robin Hood moment if they were to just kind of like hijack their own thing and like whatever, but
they have contractual obligations to themselves.
I mean, I get like it's Root Sports, right? Like, sure, like do they take it and like the thing that I guess would be what I'm confused about, I guess, is what I was trying to get at is like they have some sort of deal with Comcast, Xfinity, and like the channels on Fubo. So any place where the Root channel is available on, they have some sort of contract with those like TV service providers. So that's more of the conversation I was gauging there, where like why I don't know if they'd be able to put on the webcast throughout the entire season unless they sever those contracts, basically, because I doubt that Xfinity or Comcast and Fubo, whatever, would be okay with the Mariners broadcasting their own thing and not having like ad spots for it. Or depending if Comcast and Fubo's ad spots are different, I'm not 100% sure necessarily how the TV land works. But with the Mariners, they're just rolling through with the like, Julio bobblehead and the flex plan and $10 tickets for the first opening weekend and, player montage highlights. I don't know if that would go over super well with some of these cable service providers, and that's definitely where I was trying to get that conversation to go, and I could tell that it just wasn't being conveyed super well. But I know a lot of you guys enjoyed the webcast. We did too. Hopefully the Mariners bring it back for non-televised games the rest of the spring if they are able to, but I wouldn't count on it. And unfortunately, it is a situation of like, people are probably just after money, and that's going to be a big harp on whether or not the Mariners will be able to do this in the future. But regardless, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little conversation about the webcast. I know I am very happy with the last 2 games, just being able to see them, and hopefully you guys are too. And go Mariners.